So, believe it or not, but this is a Detroit Electric, model year 1918. Detroit Electric made cars from 1907 until 1939, in various different body styles, of course, but this seems to be quite a common one. You see it on a lot of meetings and so on, or a lot of. This is a very rare car. In total they made some 13,000 cars, as far as the record books say. The main part of that production was from 1910 until 1920. Then it declined during the 20s, mainly due to the internal combustion engine, of course. It got its electrical self-starter, something that every car has today, but was not really invented until some years into the 1910s. So in those early days it was a battle between external combustion engine, that means a steam engine for instance, or the internal combustion engine, which was difficult to start, noisy, you had to buy petrol at the pharmacy and so on, or the electric car. Let me try to go around this car and let's see how that works. Just a second. Yeah, you see, it's a bit like Grandma Duck's car, right? Which car Grandma Duck really drove is also being debated quite a bit. Some think it was a Baker, probably a inside-driven coupe 1907, but that theory doesn't hold very long, because on different comic strips or different images of her out driving a car, the car looks different all the time. So she typically just drove some kind of an electric car, probably. Now, why did she drive an electric car? The main market for electric cars were women or doctors, medical doctors. Women wanted a car that started right away without the hassle of trying to get it to start by cranking it. And a medical doctor, well, he needed a car that took off right away without any problem at all. Driving from one part of the city to the other wasn't a problem, so to speak, with an electric car. The combustion engine cars weren't all that fast in those days. Nice thunder. Maybe we'll get a good charge in the car. One might think that having an electric car didn't mean any maintenance and so on. That's not really true. Under each hood or bonnet, so to speak, or trunk lid, I think there's 7 golf cart batteries, 6-volt golf cart batteries. Now in those days they were out of the lead acid type, and I think that every 50th charging cycle they had to be cleaned internally, and that was quite a job. Now it's starting to rain, so I think we'll take this car into its garage. They will take the car inside now. It's starting to rain. We were out driving in this car just some 15 minutes ago, and it's quite an experience, I must say. As with any electric car, it's really silent. Oh, let's see how this goes. Yeah, you see, he accelerates with the stick that he holds with his left hand, and the steering is with the longer stick that he mainly has his right hand on. And there are no surround view cameras on this car, and there's no power steering, so he has to push quite hard to get the stick to to move. Here it comes. fits. It fits perfectly well in this garage. I know an old woman that has a baker, and that car does not fit into her garage. She has to let the air out and compress the suspension, the leaf springs, with some special spring compressor to get the car inside her garage. Anyhow, luckily the Detroit Electric is a bit lower. Here you have to take your hat off if you want to enter the car and sit comfortably. So I don't know if you can see the rear axle. It's really huge. It's so, well, robust, big. Comparing this with the Baker, then the Baker is really minimalistic in its design, so to speak. This car is much more robust and much more heavy. You could even feel it just when you were riding in the car. The Baker is higher and a bit, well, wiggling a bit, so to speak, or moving around a bit more. This one is a bit more solid and robust and stays more planted on the road. Let's take a closer look on the inside. You can hear, nice. So this is how you sit in the car. The front seats are facing rearwards, just like a Baker, but the Baker has a whole sofa in the front. This one has one small kind of pillow seat that can rotate, and this car is also a bit longer. So in the Baker, the coupe is very short, or the interior is very short. So you sit really tight in that car, so to speak. And as you could see, as a driver, you sit in the back seat. Let me see if I go around here. So you sit in the back seat, the left rear. That works fine as long as you have no one in front of you. But imagine that you have the car full of friends with large, nice hats with plumes on. Boom. Then, yeah, I had a little short test drive in this one. And I've had similar little short test drive in the Baker, but in the Baker, the owner, she was sitting in front of me, and I really had to move my head around to see properly forward, and she did not wear a big hat. So yeah, interesting times. Let me come a bit further apart from the car, or further away from the car. This specific sample, this specific car has had its main part of its life in the US, but was brought over to Europe some 6-7 years ago by a very happy owner that also has another interesting car here. Can you see what this is? That's a boiler. This is a steam car. And here we have something far more conventional. A Ford internal combustion engine. All three types of cars, or concept of cars, here in the same garage. Really interesting. Well, Mrs. Ford in those days, she was driving a Detroit Electric. She did not want to drive a Ford, she wanted to drive an electric car, so Ford had to get her a Detroit Electric. Ford had a electric car product going, but it was cancelled because the batteries that Thomas Edison were to supply did not deliver according to the requirements that Ford wanted. I think there was some cold weather issue. Edison batteries were an option to the Detroit Electric, but exactly who chose that in favor of the conventional lead acid, I don't really know. They were even more expensive. And talking about pricing, as Ford got things going in high volume, then the price, well, the competition in terms of pricing was very difficult. So electric cars kind of became more and more expensive, and after the financial crisis in 1929, the volume of production at Detroit was like a handful of cars per year, something like that. And sometimes they even took older cars and rebuilt them to a more updated model year. Yeah, automotive history, very interesting. Yeah, another interesting detail. Of course, an electric car has electric lights. This Ford, I would think, have gas lights. Yep, you have to ignite it. I would think that you had first a carbide and water solution. Is this the container for carbide and water? Okay, so the water drops on the carbide, and the carbide then becomes a gas that is taken over to transmitted to the or in a tube going to the front light. I think that's the same for the rear, but that you didn't have to have on the electric car. It was electric already. I'm not sure if this is. Yeah, you said it's a 12-volt system on this, on the lamps. This is a 12-volt system. Yeah. The Baker ran everything on 48 volts, but this one has a split volt system somehow. Oh dear, what weather! We were really lucky to be able to go out with this in the dry. Yeah, another detail, glass bending. They were very proud of the glass bending on these cars. You see the front water light, maybe you can call them, or something like that, are curved, and so are the rear windows. Let me see here. Yeah, the rear window is also slightly curved, and I would say that curved windows came on other cars in, I would guess, after the Second World War, on more expensive cars, and on volume cars, I would say late 50s. I think split windows started to disappear in around 1960 or something like that. Let's just take a little look inside also. Now, the pedals are for braking, both of them. The right one is for braking, and it brakes the rear wheels, right? Only the rear wheels. The left one is a parking lock brake, and it goes on the shaft, I think. The brake for the parking. Same brakes. Okay. The Baker had a different system. It had a brake on the transmission also, and it also cuts out the power. The left brake here, the electric power, so to speak. Now on the floor to the right, you see the gear shifter to reverse. That's the pedal, and the little button on the floor. That's the signal. Yeah, cool things. This in the rear seat, you can see that the rear window is operated like an old coach train wagon, where you kind of manually lift and lock it with this belt. But the doors are very modern. Let me see here. If you look inside here, there's a little chain and sprocket transmission. Can you believe that? And then as we enter the car, by the way, there's a nice sign here. Anderson Electric Car Company. They were later renamed, I think, to Detroit Electric. Detroit, Michigan. So look at this. This interior has never been restored. It's really original. It's like entering a museum. Really nice. So I got a flashlight, so you can see. volts and amperes, and the odometer and the speedometer to the right. The Baker did not have a speedometer at all, it only had the volt and ampere meter. And then, so you can't really see exactly the range you have, you just see how the voltage drops. Yeah, here you can see the steering lever that you fold down like that, and then the accelerator like this. Cool, right? It's interesting to steer a car with a stick like this, but I must say I liked it. It feels modern. Why should you hold a steering wheel? It's not 20th century. This is in a way much more modern. Steering with a stick. Yeah, and as you can see, the front window you can open and lock. So I would say all windows you can open. All windows that are flat you can open. Alright, well, I hope you enjoyed taking a closer look at this Detroit Electric. It's really a fascinating car. Back to the future in a way. And here we have the Tesla. That's all from Hoojies Garage today. In a small thunderstorm. I think it's time to head back to the Tesla. Over 100 years newer car. Yeah, keep your eyes open. There will be more coming. Bye for now.